The time is 8:49 and Queen guitarist Brian May claims that he's being forced out of his home in Kensington because it's become a hellhole caused by the misery of basement extensions. The musician has hit out at residents in his residential street, it's a very lovely street, for blighting the area with noise and causing unbearable disruption to his quality of life. In an open letter to the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, Mr. May writes that over the decade, his oasis has been shattered by the unreasonable building schemes. And he joins us now. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. You're putting things in inverted commas here, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. This is not a small thing for me, I must say. I'm actually full of anger and frustration and hatred for these people who've wrecked all of our lives here. And I can't deal with it anymore. Tell
me what you're experiencing, because I think for other people listening who haven't had basement work going on in their streets, they'll have no idea of what this disruption actually is.
No, I think it's the constancy of it. It's the incessant disruption to your life. You wake up every morning. I mean, it's 8:45 now, whatever. I have people outside of my road with heavy diggers. I have heavy machinery. I have lorries going up and down. I have people in high-vis jackets shouting at each other. I have piling rigs. I have angle grinders. I have drills. It's like living in a building site. And not just for a week or so while somebody fixes something. This is people who embark on a project which they know is going to take 3 years or more. I'm talking about 3 years of your life, and we've had a number of them now. So for the last 10 years, we've been suffering this horrible disruption.
Is it worse for you, Brian?
You get lack of sleep, you get frustrated, and you just really, you're full of hatred. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be this person who's angry the whole time.
Is it worse for you, Brian, because you're at home during the day?
Well, I work, as you know, I do a job. And so do all of us around here. I was talking to this man around the corner who has a young child. He says, very often, you know what it's like when you have a 2-year-old. You don't sleep very much in the night. You need to grab a bit of sleep during the day. It's impossible around here. There's no way. It's incessant noise and disruption. This low kind of drone is going on from JCBs. And you'll have people just drilling the whole day.
What do you say to the number of listeners and critics who say it's a rich person's problem?
Well, don't give me that. It's absolutely not a rich. The problem is rich people who don't give a damn about their neighbours. And unfortunately, I think being rich brings out the worst in people very often. These people who are super rich. And I have to tell you, most of the people who are building these things are not even living here. They're people who may never even set foot in this place. They're just doing it as a pure investment. They want to build a swimming pool under their house here. It's a beautiful residential area. That will entail countless lorries, probably hundreds of lorry loads of excavations to come out. They won't even be here. They probably won't even pay English tax. They're doing it purely as a way of making money. And the council has said yes to this for the last 10 years, and our lives are ruined, and we're forced to move out now. I don't want to move out.
Now, when you say we're forced to move out, is it you and Anita? Do you have other family members in the house with you?
Right. Yes, it's me and Anita, and we're not the only ones. I was talking to someone just yesterday. Now that people know I'm fighting, they're clustering around, and it's a good feeling in a sense that at least people are uniting against this. But we've all been beaten on the head for the last 10 years and put up with it.
But are you going to put your house on the market, Brian?
Yes, we will in the end, I'm pretty sure. We're looking for a place right now. We've been looking for a while.
Outside London?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived in London all my life, and I've lived in Kensington for the last 40 years. I love it. I have loved it, but it's ruined. This place is no longer a decent place to live.
Well, listening to you is Councillor Tim Coleridge. I know you know each other, Cabinet Minister, member for
Tim. Yes, absolutely.
for planning policy at the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
Well, what do you have to say?
Tim.
Oh, hello.
Morning,
you
Brian.
Talk to each other. I'll mediate only if necessary. Off you go.
Well, I've been listening to Brian, and I have to say that I recognise and we agree with so much of what he says. What I don't agree with is that the borough actually has taken considerable action to try and mitigate this. It is the most annoying thing if someone in your street is building a basement and you live next door. So what have we done? Well, we have to act within the law. So we've actually changed our local plan, which has been approved by the Secretary of State, and we've done three things. One is we have limited the size of these basements to only 1 story under the ground and half the garden. So there are no more iceberg basements going to be built in the borough. Secondly, we brought in a thing called an Article 4, which means that you cannot build a basement anymore without planning consent, because until April this year, you could build one without planning consent if it was just under the footprint of your house. And that is really annoying, because the neighbours don't even know it's going to start, and we have no control over the traffic movement and how it's going to be built. And the third thing we've done, which came in literally only a couple of weeks ago, is we brought in a new code of construction practice. And this means we banned all noisy working on Saturdays. Noisy work has to stop at 6 rather than 6:30. And for the most noisy work, which is really drilling in terms of breaking up concrete and heavy noise like that, that is not allowed now between noon and 2 in the afternoon. So you get some respite.
So you can have a siesta if you wish to. Does any of that make you feel any better, Brian? Or is it too late?
I know exactly what you're doing. And yes, they have taken some steps. This council has moved, and I recognise that it's hard within the law as it stands. I believe the law as it stands should be changed, and I think probably the Lord Mayor of London can actually change the guidelines. But all of what you say is true, but it's not enough. Article 4 is all very fine, but all these, we have 9 possible operations around, 9 in one street, 9 of these basement building projects or similar, and they've all actually gone through the planning process, and they've all got permission. Limiting it to one story is helpful, but I tell you that one of the ones right opposite me, which I'm looking at right now, is just one story. It was given permission, and that's been going for 3 years. It's still going. It's not enough. It's too little, too late.
Brian, if you put...
Just let me say, we need to stop building basements in residential areas. It needs a line putting under it. We need to stop it now.
But why doesn't somebody have a right to increase the quality of their life, the space of their home, if they need to and they want to live in that home?
At the expense of everyone around them? No. How can the council possibly be doing its job? I mean, I accept that your hands are tied in some respects, but London should be protecting its residents against the few selfish people who don't care what their actions produce in other people. That's what it's all about. That's why you have laws. That's why people go to prison. That's why people get ASBOs for causing annoyance to other people. These people are causing much more annoyance than these poor hoodies who are probably locked up for causing a disturbance.
But presumably, Brian, the basements that would affect you so badly would have to be within a certain proximity. Once those basements are done, it's over, isn't it?
It's never going to be over. It is not going to be over. There are 2 applications in progress right now for houses directly opposite me. Those are probably another 3 years each minimum. The guy who first started this has been at it 7 years. It's never going to end for us unless things change, and I'm personally going to go and try and follow this to the end of the line, because I believe this is not the way we should be behaving in Britain.
Tim, you have the last word.
I think it has changed a bit, because first of all, our new rules are going to make it much less chaotic. The second thing is the number of applications we had in, say, 2014 peaked at about 400. The last 12 months has dropped now down to 150, which I think is partly due to our new policy. However, you're not going to find in the present economic climate any government who is going to bring in statutory legislation to actually ban the development of single-storey basements. We knew we'd never get that passed. We had a tremendous difficulty, actually, fighting on your behalf, Brian, to get the planning inspectorate to agree that we would limit basement building to 1 story down. They couldn't understand why in a country like ours we would want to stop economic growth. But we said that this is for the first time in English history that planning consideration should take into account the noise and vibration and chaos and misery it causes to neighbours, which is not a planning consideration. So we kind of made a bit of history there. So the Royal Borough Council really is behind residents. I find basements a right pain in the something. But they can only be built once. You can build 1 story, you can build 1 story down. Once that's done, nobody who owns that home can ever build a story down again.
Tim.
So it's a once in a lifetime.
Councillor Tim Coleridge and Brian May, thank you both so much for your time. It's 8:58. If you've got thoughts and you really do empathise, not just sympathise with Brian for the amount of disruption to his life, give us a call. If you perhaps are lucky enough or selfish enough, in Brian's words, to build a basement, tell us about it. How long does it take? Did you upset your neighbours? 0207 224 2000. We'll be back after your 9 o'clock news to take you up to that. Pippa Sparks has your latest travel.